Thank you so much for joining me here on LinkedIn Live. My name is Makita Waterman. Today, we are going to talk about how to not settle for anything or anyone. I believe that there are a lot of people out there who go through these kind of thought processes that they have to do X, Y, Z to get a specific result. This could be for a number of different reasons, and we're going to talk about that today because I think that there are people who believe that they're settling in certain career, personal experiences and relationships and environments. And there's a lot of shame and guilt that is attached to these kind of experiences, which is absolutely normal, but we don't necessarily have to take on any type of shame and guilt. So if you think that this conversation is going to help somebody, please send it to them. And if you have any questions, comments, ideas, tips, and advice that are working for you or things that you're going through, feel free to leave them in a comment as we go live. I'd love for this to be interactive. And we're also not just going live on LinkedIn, but we're going to go live on my YouTube channel as well as my Twitter account as well. So let's get started. So let's take it back to our past. The reason why we're going to go there is that for all of my people on the line that are feeling some type of guilt or shame in settling or feeling like you're stuck in life, this is probably the reason why you're experiencing this. So if you are one of those people who were born and raised in a home, maybe you saw your mom and dad settle in the relationship, or you had a caretaker, that could be a grandparent, whoever, grandparents, whoever, and you grew up seeing people regularly settle. It could also be cultural dynamics where in your culture, being a lawyer or being a doctor or being a surgeon is the epitome of success, and this is generational. And anything outside of these type of careers, or even a situation where maybe you're born into a culture where you've been handed down who you're going to marry, the both of you and that other person get older, and then you are kind of told by your parents you have to marry this person, and you feel as if you could potentially be settling. I'm not here saying that you need to end generational circumstances and walk away from your parents and potentially get outcasted. I'm just saying let's take a deeper look as to why you could potentially be settling or just accepting the bare minimum in your love and personal career or even your friendships, right? So it has to be stemmed from something from your past. So everyone on the line kind of quickly try to think about that. Or after this live stream, think about what did you see growing up, or what have you consistently seen through your parents, your friends, your culture, your family, your community of consistency of settling and accepting the bare minimum in situations where you really should be receiving what you're giving out, or whatever the case may be. You also have to ask yourself, what is your vision? Because you might think that you're settling, but you might not know exactly what it is that you want in a career, in a work environment, in your income, your business revenue, in your love relationship. You might feel as if something is off, but if you don't have the blueprint as to what it is that you feel you are capable, ready, able to receive and give, it's going to be very difficult to break the generational or break the consistency of you feeling that you have to settle for anything or anyone in life. So you really have to be very clear about what's right for you. And you have to ask yourself too, if you are 100% confident in your vision for what it is that's right for you, what feels good, what will align with your future goals or your current goals, you then have to ask yourself, is the career, the business, the friendship, love relationship, whatever your situation is, does it align with your goals? And I say that not in a sense to run away from anything or anybody or give up on anything or anybody, because once you have a full 100% clear scope of an understanding, like a painting on the wall of your vision, then it's really about just having a conversation with your employer, with your boss, with your friends, with your family, to see if you both are aligned, if there are things that you and this individual or this whatever situation is can all come together and create win-win solutions so that you can no longer settle and be in a situation that's really aligned and best for you. The other thing that we need to do is we need to admit to ourselves when we feel like we are accepting the bare minimum, accepting something that just really is supposed to happen. And we're putting that on a pedestal as, oh, wow, you know, I got a raise today after 10 years of working there, but you've never gotten a raise before. And so in your mind, you might think, wow, this is an achievement, and you celebrate, and you should, but that's a bare minimum. So you really have to ask yourself, are you settling? In fact, is this 100% a case where you feel like you're just not asking for more or not negotiating at the revenue income table, for example? Or are you stuffing down your feelings and your thoughts and your friendships, or even at work, because you think somebody's going to get mad at you, you think it will turn into an argument, you think that the relationship will end. And if it ends because you're not aligned with that career, with that job, that work situation, that friendship, etc., it actually can be a blessing. So there is a lot of fear in no longer settling, because that can rock the boat. It can kind of throw off your anchor off of the boat that you've been kind of using to maintain in situations and experiences that feel comfortable for you, because that's all you know. And so that's a little bit admitting versus just excuses, right, for wanting more. Because we can often, not myself, but people can often say, yeah, I would actually like to ask for XYZ amount more now that it's December and I'm going to have my year end with my boss, for example. This is just a work related example. But sometimes people can think to themselves, well, if I ask for that, well, they just had a meeting the other day and they had to cut back, so I probably shouldn't be asking for that. So we can also make excuses for not asking for more, for not believing that we deserve more, and that can be problematic as well. So, okay, let's take a look here. You have to then start to take a look, no emotions involved. We have our logical cap on, and we have to ask ourselves, are we, let's take, for example, it's a work situation. Are you getting the feedback that you need? Or are you in a work environment where they say, yeah, that was great, but your bonus is not matching up to greatness, right? Or you're not being recommended to try on different projects that can really help improve your resume, improve your experience so that you can get to where it is that you need to be. So you have to kind of ask yourself, in this environment, in this work experience, the relationship, am I getting the necessary feedback that I need? Is it something that you need to ask or say or be open to as well? Because we don't always want to blame everything outside of ourselves. We have to take accountability as adults, because that's the only way that change can really come about, right? And then also, outside of your relationships, outside of your career, your work, your business, are you getting the additional help through a coach, a mentor, therapist, group sessions? You know, sometimes people want to start off in group kind of therapy or group Alcohol Anonymous kind of situations first before they go one-on-one. So ask yourself, outside of your situation, are you actually getting the necessary guidance you need outside? Because I really do believe, and this is just my experience, all of you that have been following know that I've been going through a 2 and I think we're coming on 9 months, 2 years and 9 months of me working with Cecil McIntosh. You've seen him. And I must say that before working with him, I didn't have a lot of clarity, is what he likes to call it. I didn't have a lot of understanding as to why I was making certain decisions and how to go about attracting what it is that was right for me in many different areas of my life, because I lacked the communication skills at that time to be able to do so. I was great at communicating in my work, but when it came to my personal life, there were certain things that I was settling several years ago before doing the work outside of my goals, outside of what it is that I'm doing. And so you have to ask yourself, if you're going to your friends and family for help, and these are normal things that all of us can really do, because we look to our parents who have gray in their hair and they have the wisdom, and we look to our grandparents, and everybody's doing their best. And I'm not saying, I do believe that grandparents, because they've lived a lot, especially the ones who have consistently been very good at things, they definitely have a wealth of knowledge. But I personally wouldn't depend on my friends and family or any stranger off the street unless they were qualified to help guide me through life, not give me the answers, but help make me accountable, guide me to things that my mind wouldn't really think. And I'm just bringing this up. I'm not telling anybody on the line here to go get a mentor or coach, but I really think it's very hard for anybody to get out of the current situation that they are in without a third party individual who is unbiased, not a friend or a family member, because it's a little too close, right? When you have a family member or friend who might be a therapist or a coach, they could probably help you, but then there could be some discrepancies there because there's a line of too much closeness. And I've met people who have friends who are therapists and they use them for free, but I personally would pay someone I don't know personally who can help me because they're unbiased and they're not fully connected to me, my family, people I know, etc. So ask yourself, do you think you might need that? And then here are some communication tips that will really help you in situations where you are not necessarily getting what it is that you believe you are ready for. And I say ready because a lot of us at times in life, we think that we are super qualified and everything else like that. But sometimes when you actually look into the situation, or you have, again, a coach, a mentor, whoever, really sit down objectively and not with a biased mindset, to be honest with you, and say, you're not ready, right? I'll give you an example. Personally, I remember I started working with my coach. It was spring of 2021. And I had told him that there was something in my personal life that I needed improvement on. And after about 6 months of working with him, I just thought that this is all going to work out in half a year. I will no longer need to work with him. And he was pretty honest with me and said, you're not ready for whatever, you're not ready for this particular goal that you came to me for. And that was one of the hardest things to kind of accept, because I personally thought that I was ready, but he quickly let me know that I wasn't. So you have to ask yourself, are you ready for what it is that you are asking for? But let's get into some quick communications. So let's say you're in a love relationship or work relationship, and we want to get down to the feelings, because when we start speaking logic to people about what's not working, it can turn to the left. Now, when you get vulnerable and you express your emotions and feelings, not a therapy session, a feeling can literally be a one word within a sentence or two. This is very powerful because people cling on to how you feel with them versus what you think. This is very powerful. This is no need for manipulation here. We're getting real. We're getting honest. We're being unfiltered with these conversations, because in my opinion, when you are vulnerable, unfiltered, not necessarily caring how the person is going to take on your feeling statement, it really opens the door for real human experiences and change. So let's just say let's say you're in a love relationship and you're not necessarily feeling like you're being heard and understood. Maybe you feel neglected. So you ask the person, are you available to chat? The person says yes. You would start off by saying, I've been feeling very cold in this relationship. Sentence, end of sentence. We've had many conversations about this relationship kind of being in a very stagnant, stalemate position. Is there something I need to know? I actually learned this question part by Adrienne Everhart. She's a relationship coach, I guess you can say, and she also talks to people who want to level up in their business. But that is a very powerful question, because you're no longer using that question to point the finger and blame the other person. You're just saying, I've been feeling very cold in this relationship. I know that I love you very much. But we keep on having this conversation about me not necessarily being understood when we go through XYZ. Is there something I need to know? Now, when you ask that very neutral question, it gets the person to really reflect, or it gets the person to really be honest with you. Because sometimes in work, yes, work, and love relationships, people don't want to be honest with you because they don't want to hurt your feelings, get into an argument. But that question, is there something I need to know, really opens up the can of honesty here, right? And so, or you can ask, what can we do to make this better? Not what can you do to make this better, because we both have to take accountability in this relationship. I've been feeling very cold in this relationship. We've had this conversation, XYZ keeps coming up. What can we do to make it better? Now, this is the collective, because this person cannot get defensive. If they get defensive, I'm sorry, there's something clearly wrong here, right? But if you say, what can we do to make this better? What can be done to make this better? Now gets the ball in their court and has them thinking about how they could do better with you, since this is something you've already spoken to this person about. Now, let's say it's a work situation. Say something along the lines of this. Let's just give an example. Your boss told you 3 to 6 months ago that you were going to be lined up for a promotion at work. You go in this meeting and your boss says that someone on your team got the promotion. They didn't give you a heads up. They didn't even insinuate that it wasn't going to be you, but you're now in this meeting and your boss is saying that someone on your team is getting the promotion. Meanwhile, you had a conversation with them 3 to 6 months ago that it would be you. So you ask the person after the meeting is done, John, can we have a conversation? There's something I would like to get some clarity about. John says, yes, let's meet at this time. You meet at that time. Then you would say, I feel very confused about this person getting the promotion, especially since we had this chat 3 to 6 months ago that I was lined up and getting myself prepared for this opportunity. Am I missing something here? And is there something I need to know? And then we go silence. This is not a therapy session for you to unload your anger, frustration, insecurities on your boss or anybody, because that's a conversation I personally think you should have with your therapist or coach. This is just getting real fast, nice, clean conversation and getting straight to it. Now, if you line up the question like that, there's no way that your boss can say, oh, I don't know. There's no way that they can, waste your time. They have to be very clear with you, because you are being very clear with your question. And these kind of questions, without pointing fingers at people, will get you the answers you need. Now, you have to be ready for whatever comes out of that person's mouth, your boss, your friend, your mom, your husband, your wife, your children. You have to be very, very ready for this conversation, because they might tell you the truth, and the truth hurts sometimes. Oftentimes, some people that, if you're listening to this and you're like, oh, I'm not going to try that, avoiding the truth will not help you become a better version of yourself. And sometimes the truth is it's like running into a brick wall, because you're faced with reality now. And I do believe that there are people that avoid intimate, vulnerable conversations because they don't want to grow. And if you're one of those people that do want to grow, I really do think it is best for you to continue to be honest. Sorry, my window's open and people are looking. I think it's good for you to continue to be honest with yourself, that these kind of in-depth conversations are necessary, because without them, you'll never really know. It's like that person, or maybe you're the person who's been working at a company for 10 years, no promotion, no bonus, and you're still there, but you're settling. It's because you're not getting the truth. You're not getting down to the truth. Now, let's say this is the last scenario here, since we're down to a couple minutes, person pass, I think. So let's get down to something keeps happening over and over again. You feel like you've said what you needed to say, and there's absolutely no change, but you're at this point where you're ready to leave because you've had a very clear conversation. So this is what I would say. XYZ keeps coming up. I'm doing XYZ to make this work. There needs to be a better way to maintain this relationship, to continue to have this work experience. What do you think? This is another powerful question that I've also learned from Adrienne Everhart. She's on YouTube. She's a love relationship, kind of like career improvement coach for women. But what do you think is another great question, because it's very neutral and it will get the person thinking to themselves, what have they done to contribute to where you're at? And or what have you done to contribute to where you're at right now? And I really hope that these conversational questions that I'm sharing every week are very helpful, because I do believe that the key to progress, the key to getting down to the realness of where you are going wrong and where others are going wrong, is to have these conversations and ask these questions, because they don't teach this at school unless you were born and raised in a family where vulnerability and getting straight to it with very neutral questions is a normal thing. This can be something very new to you, but try some of these. Let me know in the comments or send me a message and let me know if any of these are working. Because if we can't communicate, if we can't use communication versus arguing, fighting, blaming, shaming, guilting, running away, avoiding, going from one job to the next, one relationship to the next, one, smoothie to the next to lose weight, for example. I'm just giving you examples, right? If we keep continuing these patterns, nothing is going to change. Then you'll wake up like some people who think all women are like this, or all people in my community are like this, or Canada is XYZ, or living in America is XYZ. Meanwhile, if you YouTube it, there are people who are living opposite realities, right? So yes, maybe certain things in your community you don't like, but are you going to run away from it and go to other communities where they have issues too? Or are you going to accept that you can change and possibly be the person that changes a ripple effect of something that's not working in your family, in your community? People call it breaking generational curses, generational mistakes. Ask yourself, do you want to be the person in your family who no longer settles? And I think it was Barack Obama, but there's a quote out there that says, be the change you want to see in the world. And a lot of people are saying society should do this, the government should do this, but how's society and the government going to change if we're not going to change ourselves? So I really hope that these examples work. If you have any comments or questions, leave them below. If you want to send me a direct message, I'm open to that as well. I hope all of these live streams are helping, because I think that a lot of people online are sharing the what and the why, but I don't think a lot of content creators are really sharing the how can you fix it, and that how is going to be different for everybody. See, you might use these questions, but it might not work for you because your tone of voice, your approach, your body language, and then you might think these questions aren't working, but it's really because you've got deeper stuff you need to work on, and how you decide to work on that will always be up to you. Anyways, thank you so much for joining me here on this beautiful Sunday morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are on the planet. And again, if you feel that this conversation can help somebody, send them this link. And thanks so much for joining in today. Take care.